Candidates Forum today is a free public forum for Menlo Park Fire Protection District. I'm Kathy Armstrong. I'm the Voter Service Director for the South San Mateo County League of Women Voters. The League of Women Voters is a national, nonpartisan volunteer organization of women and men. Our education mission is to encourage your active and informed participation in your government at every level. The League does not endorse candidates nor political parties. Our sole interest is in helping voters become informed and gain fair and unbiased information so that you can make an informed decision on Election Day, which is November 3rd. In addition to this forum, I want to encourage you all to visit the League's election website, which is smartvoter.org, where you'll find information about all of the races, all the candidates, all the measures that are going on for your specific ballot in whatever location you are at. So I encourage you to take a look at that. This event is being videotaped. It will be replayed on local cable television. And the format for this evening will be as follows. Each candidate will have 2 minutes for an opening statement. Before the forum started, we had the candidates draw numbers to determine the order in which they will speak. Following the 2-minute opening statements, we will take questions from the audience, again submitted on 3x5 cards. We have League volunteers around the room who will pick those up from you. Just hold up a card if you have a question to submit at any time during the forum. The candidates will each have 1 minute to answer each of the questions, and we will change the order within which the candidates respond for each question. At the start of each question, I will announce what the order of speakers will be. Following the question time, we will have 2 minutes each for each candidate to give a closing statement as well. There are 3 seats to be elected to the Menlo Park Fire Protection District Board, and each is for a 4-year term. 1 incumbent is seeking re-election, and there are 5 other candidates. The candidates are, starting from my right, Rexford Ianson, Jack Nelson, Stephen Nachtsheim, Jon Mosby, Robert Silano, and James Harris. And I'd like to thank all of you candidates for coming this evening. We really appreciate that, as well as your willingness to give your time to public service.
Thank you.
All right, so as I mentioned, we did draw numbers to determine the order of speakers, and we've set them up in the order that we will start out as far as opening statements. So at this time, I will go ahead and invite Rexford Ianson to give his 2-minute opening statements. And before you start, I'll just mention we do have a League volunteer here in the front row who is going to help us keep time. She has little cards that say 1 minute, 30 seconds, and stop. So please, if you would, try to keep an eye on her, and we'll have you stop when time is up. So, Rexford Ianson.
Stand or sit?
Please, you can remain sitting.
Okay.
Yep.
I'm Rex Ianson. I'm the incumbent that's running for the next board of directors to stay on the board of directors. A little bit about my background. I am a retired firefighter from Menlo Park. I spent 36 years here. I retired in 2003. I ran for the board and was successful in 2005. So I've been on the board for the last 3.5 years. A little bit about my background. I have an Associate of Arts degree in fire science. I have a teaching credential, which is lifetime from the state of California, and that's designed to teach at the community college level fire science and search and rescue operations. I also was rostered on the California Office of Emergency Services to teach the same thing, fire science and emergency rescue, search and rescue operations for OES, as well as the State Fire Marshal. I am a rostered FEMA instructor from the Department of Homeland Security, and I teach technical rescue, wide area search, GPS, and mapping and navigation. So probably the next question is, why do I feel like I'm a good candidate for the board? Okay, what do I have to bring to the table? I think part of it has to do with the experience that I've had in the past of being in the fire service for 36 years. This last 3.5 years in working with the budget, strategic planning, some of that, it's given me an insight that it's not, when you look at the budgets, you understand what the long-term effect of that budget is going to be on the fire service because you've been there. What do we actually, how's it going to affect the people that are out in the street? So I think that that's a real plus. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Ianson. And next will be Jack Nelson.
My name is Jack Nelson, and my motivation for running for fire ward, I have 18 years of volunteer fire service back east in Missouri, achieving different levels of authority and responsibility. I have attended every board meeting for the past 8 years, and I feel this allows me to have a better idea of the issues facing the board today and that of the future challenges we're going to encompass. My background is I am one of the CERT team leaders. I am a FEMA trained, CERT team trained the trainer. I am a attendee at National Fire Academy, and I have been, or actually currently, a volunteer with CAL FIRE in their prevention and VIP program. And I feel that with my background, I have the passion, I have the commitment to be an excellent board member, and I would like to see the district maintains great service. It has an excellent reputation through the district itself, as well as USAR, which is our national response disaster team. I'm an advocate of that, advocate of continued training. And this is why my closing statement would be, I feel that I would be an excellent board member, and I ask for your support.
Thank you, Mr. Nelson. And next we'll hear from Stephen Nachtsheim.
Good evening. First, I'd like to thank the League of Woodland Voters for putting this on, and I also want to thank them for putting together smartvoter.org. It's a great site that saved me from having to build a website. I've been a resident of the fire district for about 15 years, and I initially chose to run for the fire board because I got really interested in disaster recovery and emergency preparedness. But as I dug into what was going on, it became pretty obvious that the number one priority was to come up with sound fiscal planning given what's going on with the district's budget. You have state takeaways, you have the possibility of additional contributions to PERS, you have declining property taxes, all of which are going to change the way this district has to be run, or at least has been run for the last 5 or 10 years. I have a number of other priorities that I'm sure we'll get to as we go through this, such as favorably concluding, favorably for both sides, concluding the negotiations with the union and the district, and also maintaining and enhancing the high service levels that we've all become used to in this fire district. My background is a combination of academic and business. I was a university faculty member for 13 years, teaching in the areas of technology, business, and education, and running some pretty large computer centers at the time. Then I joined Intel Corporation, where I held a number of executive positions running technology groups and businesses, including being on the executive committee for the last 8 years. Retired in 2001. I'm now chairman of the Deluxe Corporation, which is a Fortune 1000 company up in Minnesota. I'm trustee of the university, and my most time-consuming job is I've got a 12-year-old preteen daughter who's in 7th grade. Fortunately, I'm getting out of helping her with algebra.
Thank you, Mr. Nachtsheim. Next we'll hear from Jon Mosby.
Thank you. My name is Jon Mosby. I would like to take a couple of seconds to thank the League of Women Voters for putting this evening together and for their website, smartvoter.org. I have found it extremely helpful. I had a few friends ask and encourage me to run for this position based on my long-term volunteer involvement with the Menlo Park Fire Protection District. I have taught at every CERT session sponsored by this district. I've been teaching emergency preparedness for over 20 years in San Mateo County cities, as well as disaster preparedness for nonprofit organizations and churches throughout San Mateo County so that they can serve their clientele during and after a disaster. I am currently the Assistant Emergency Coordinator for the town of Atherton, Menlo Park, and East Palo Alto. I have served on the boards of several nonprofits in various capacities and am a recipient of the Lifetime Presidential Volunteer Call to Service Award. I know there are some serious district problems that need to be addressed. I know these problems, some of which I am sure will be presented tonight, will be solved. And I would hope to bring a fresh set of eyes and ears to addressing these problems, as I am open to listening to anyone from the district, residents, businesses, other agencies, or any place inside or outside the box. I am open to almost any ideas that could be implemented to provide mutual resolution to any given problem or situation.
Thank you, Mr. Mosby. And next we will hear from Robert Silano.
Good evening. My name is Rob Silano. I'd like to thank the League of Women Voters for arranging this event. Let me tell you a little bit about myself. I've lived in Menlo Park for 22 years with my wife, Barbara. We have 2 children. I have coached most of your children at T-ball, AAA, majors, Little League, and soccer. I have watched them all grow from little boys who ran down third base when they hit the ball to fine young men. It inspired me to work on the Park and Recreation Commission. I have also served on the board of my church, and I have served my neighborhood association. In short, this is my community. I am the only candidate with the unique combination of experience that is needed to solve the district's current problems. I have worked both as a union member and as a manager. I have managed a multi-million-dollar budget. I have responded to hazardous conditions. I am currently the Chief of Threat Intelligence as a member of the Governor's Office of Emergency Management. The biggest problems facing our district are what I like to call the 3 C's: community service, costs, and contract. Our community is presently served by one of the finest firefighting units in the country. It is this district that others turn to when they need professional assistance. We need to maintain that. Which brings me to costs. I am the only candidate who has already saved the district almost $2 million before even getting elected. I'll tell you a little bit about that later on. Lastly, a contract. The firefighters have been working for 3 years without a contract. As taxpayers, we have spent almost $2 million on lawyers because both sides refuse to talk to one another. It's time to stop that. With common sense and respect for each other, we can solve this dilemma. If you elect me, you see what you get: a dedication to community service, a desire to control costs, and a commitment to a fair contract. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Silano. And next we'll hear from James Harris.
Thank you, and thank you to the League for putting this on. A little background about me: I graduated from MIT. I'm an engineer. I have a PhD in materials science, and I'm not a fire expert. But what I am is very experienced in managing organizations, meeting financial goals, and setting strategic plans. I came to California about 40 years ago, and to Menlo Park about 11 years ago. I worked for 13 years at National Semiconductor, managing profit and loss for several business groups. And then I've been active in startups, CEO of several startups since. My son is in the National Guard, stationed at Fort Benning, and my daughter, who's my campaign manager, is a public defender at Santa Clara County.
Can I ask about that?
Wow.
So, an efficient and
vehicle lockout, 964 Ringwood Avenue. 964 Ringwood Avenue, Preston Frederick Court. And the map is 7 restriction 3266 Central.
Apologies to the candidates. We are in a firehouse. Please go on.
So an efficient and effective fire department is a resource upon which all of us rely. Yeah, and in today's constrained economic environment, we must ensure essential services are not compromised, while at the same time we seek every opportunity to limit costs. I've met with several members of the board of directors in a nearby fire protection district, and Chief Schapelholman And it's apparent that we have an excellent fire department and fire district. The problem basically boils down to cost. And our expenses, the expenses of the fire district, have increased about 9% each year. And revenue hasn't.
Thank you, Mr. Harris. Your time has run out. Why don't you go ahead and finish your thoughts since it was interrupted by the announcement, please.
I stopped when she was talking,
Okay,
I stopped.
okay, thank you. All right, well, I'm sure we'll hear more about that as the evening goes on. Let me just remind the audience, please, if you have questions for the candidates, submit those on a 3x5 card. If you need a card, just hold your hand up. If you have a card to submit, hold that card up and someone will collect it and bring it forward. And also I wanted to mention we have a few people standing around the outside of the room. There are some empty seats. There's a few in the middle and a few up front. Please feel free to just go ahead and fill in. We won't be bothered by having you do that.